Yo, what is up? What's poppin'? You know it ain't no stopping. It is your boy, the International Sensei, and welcome to the DOJO podcast, your source for every damn thing. And you know the vibes, and the vibes know you. Keep it right, keep it tight, and above all, please talk to me nice. And we have one last chance to look at this year at a glance. 2020 is almost over. We must stay sober, must stay healthy, and must stay wealthy going into 2021. But looking back, damn, this was a crazy year full of ups and downs, happy and sad moments. Looking at the beginning of this year when COVID really first started hitting kind of crazy, things were starting to get a little weird. People were starting to become more positive over here in the States. It was kind of a weird time. I mean, I've been an asthmatic most of my life, and I've always had to deal with seasonal allergies and things like that. So during pollen season and stuff like that, I've always had to wear a mask. So I was always getting the freaking strange looks on the bus or something like that. People thought I had whatever, you know what I'm saying, before COVID even was a thing. And so honestly, for me, it was kind of oh, cool. Everyone else, before I knew how serious it was. It was oh, cool. Everyone else is wearing masks. I mean, obviously overseas, in places like Japan, it's kind of a culture thing, where if you're sick, you wear a mask just so you don't spread germs anyway. Here, not so much. People will be freaking open mouth sneezing, all kinds of nasty stuff. But so for me, the mask thing has never and probably will never be a big deal just because I've always been used to wearing it. Now I just wear it regularly. It's just it's honestly just an item of clothing at this point. So I've never really cared too much about it. You know what I'm saying? I really have never was affected by it too crazy. Speaking of which, I need to get some, this is just me thinking out loud. I need to get some of those fashion masks because I am severely slacking. I have one little swag mask, but I need a couple of swag masks to go with my fits. You know what I'm saying? But back to the topic at hand, a year at a glance. After that, the COVID bombshell started hitting. It started growing and growing. Then, of course, we tragically lost Kobe Bean Bryant, one of the best basketball players to ever live. I obviously am not a basketball player by trade. I'm a martial artist. I am too short to play basketball. I'm just keeping it a buck with you. But Kobe Bryant has always brought me a lot of joy watching him play. I always loved watching games with my dad, watching games with my older brother, watching games with my sister even sometimes, who were all Kobe fans. Well, my brother wasn't a Kobe fan, but everybody else was. And I just loved it, man. I just loved how much heart he put into the game, how much passion he put into the game. And he really was the poster child of hard work. You know what I mean? Obviously in certain aspects, you might not become the greatest of all time at what you do. He was one of the best, but he's still not considered the GOAT. Obviously Michael Jordan is, but he's so dedicated to his craft. If you want to have the mark or the benchmark of dedication in life, that's who you need to strive to be like. I mean, this dude getting up every single day, making sure he eats right, making sure he trains, gets his 1,000 shots up, doing all of this stuff before he even plays one professional game. That's why this dude was so great. I mean, even being a guard in a time where the big man was king, where he was playing against with guys like Shaq, he was really the blood that kept that team pumping when he was winning with the Lakers in their first three-peat. And even then when he went back-to-back years later. But, man, it was definitely a shock to the system. I'm not going to lie. As a grown man, I cried. It was like losing an uncle or something, because when you grow up, as a kid, watching somebody years and years and years, you do grow somewhat of an attachment to that individual. Not anything crazy. I'm not a crazy fan or nothing like that, but I'm just saying you do feel when a person like that is lost. You know what I mean? I think everyone, even my older fans, would agree that there's someone, whether it's an athlete, an actor, or whoever, that's impacted your life in such a way that if they were to pass suddenly, you would be hurt. You might shed a couple tears, and that's okay. I mean, it hurt to see that, and then it hurt to see when his daughter was along with him, and of course the other unfortunate individuals that did pass as well in that horrible plane crash. Look, I have a niece, I got nephews, you know what I'm saying? So that bothered me to see that, because she was 12. So that was definitely a big heartbreaker to hear that and things like that. Because I teach youth martial arts too, so I'm seeing kids around that age. So it messes with you. You're like, dang, man, like that could have been like, not obviously it couldn't have been, but you think about that, like, yo, what if that was one of my kids? What if that was my niece? What if that was my nephew? You know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely something that will affect you, and it makes you appreciate things a lot more. But I will say that, like, that's just the thing about this year. It's a year that you need to improve your level of appreciation. If you think you're appreciating something, appreciate it even more, because you don't know how long it's going to be around. Whether that's your money, your family, whether it's not even the money, because the money comes and goes, but whether that's your family, whether that's your pets, whether that's your social group, like your friends, the things that you love, the dream that you have to really guard and take care of it and appreciate it, and appreciate the steps that you make in the right direction towards bettering yourself and getting further in your career, because you never know what can happen. I mean, and obviously along with Kobe, there was like a ton. I mean, the list is really like ridiculously long. I mean, I know the guy that played Debo was a Tiny Lester. He just died. Rest in peace. I mean, it was like just tons and tons of amazing celebrities that brought joy to everyone's hearts passed away, and it's just so sad. And Roger Mayweather passed away, as well as Floyd Mayweather's one of Floyd Mayweather's baby mothers. I mean, it's a lot. Like it's a lot. I mean, there are professional fighters that lost loved ones. There are professional athletes that lost their lives. There are people of all walks of life that have been affected by this. So I definitely want to say just shouts out to everyone. Stay safe. Eat well. Honestly, like just as much as like the mask thing is great. I'm cool with the mask thing, but eat right, exercise, take care of yourself, and stop eating fast food. That's too, because fast food prices have been going up. But that's a whole nother story for another day. But anyway, so in continuing with the COVID stuff, obviously the shutdown and things kind of just like freaking Thanos snapped and just weren't going anymore, which messed up a lot of stuff for a lot of people. I know, like me, as a aspiring stunt performer, there's a lot of things like that I was unable to do. A lot of things that kind of like, well, a lot of people, even actively working stunt performers, were just kind of like asked out because production stopped, everything stopped, and even like the productions that attempted to go up during this time, I mean, had all these COVID restrictions. There were some shows that started back up and had to re-shut down because of COVID. You know what I mean? So it's definitely really tough. Definitely really, really tough. And I don't know, I think that this really shows that you really have to count your blessings, you know what I mean? Not in a bad sense. I don't think, like, you don't need to be looking over your shoulder for, like, the next catastrophe to happen. But I feel like you need to have a better understanding of how blessed you truly are. If you're able to make a living doing what you love to do, if you're able to make an honest wage doing what you love to do, even if it's not like you're not balling, you're not riding in a new Mercedes, whatever, but you're able to feed yourself, provide a good life for yourself and your family, keep a roof over your head, and obviously like maybe take the little vacations every now and then, you need to be thanking your lucky stars, because there are a lot of people that aren't here to see next year, you know what I mean? And some of them are extremely young. Some of them are my age. I know people my age, and I'm fairly young, that passed away from COVID. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can't take this kind of stuff lightly, and you can't just kind of like belittle it because of the inconvenience of like the mask and things like that. Just eat right, stay healthy, be on your P's and Q's, because it's very hard out there, especially with all the shutting down and stuff like that. But I will say though, I mean, with all this, I mean, for me, there are been some bright sides. When the year first started for myself, when 2020 first started, I had just got out of my walking boot. I had torn my calf back in October of 2019, and I was in a walking boot for a while. Really did not think I was going to walk again. Obviously, I mean, it was a calf tear, but being a person that's never had a major leg injury, like my entire career of fighting, the most I've ever had was like a groin pull, and that's like a week out, ice it down, things like that, you know what I mean? But I've never had something where I really just had to sit and not do anything, you know what I mean? So it was definitely a tough pill to swallow, but it honestly, it puts things in perspective for you. It puts things in perspective from the standpoint of there's certain things that like I'm never gonna try because I don't really need to try it. Like I'm not a person I've never been a tricker. I'm not gonna try to become a tricker. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna put myself in harm's way if I don't have to. But shouts out to all the trickers out there who do their thing. That's just for me, because of the injury that I had. I have a couple tricks that I can bust out. I have a B twist, I have a back tuck, I have a couple combos, but that's probably as far as I'm gonna get in the tricking scheme, just because I know how easily you can get injured, and I cannot afford another injury like that. I don't want another injury like that. But shouts out to all my triggers out there. But that's just for me. Getting out of that was definitely very difficult. Like having to not necessarily learn how to walk again, but get power in my dominant leg. I'm right side dominant. So it was my right leg that I tore. So getting power back in my right side, my strong side. Doing like rehab and walking every day and trying to just get strength back. It was tough, and it was surprising how tough it was at first, just because like I've never had to deal with the concept of not walking. You know what I mean? Not walking on two legs for a long time. But after doing that, I built my strength back up, started back training, and I fortunately was able to get accepted into a stunt program called Totem. For those who know who that is, they know. And that was just such a great experience. It definitely helped my confidence. Lost a ton of weight that I didn't even know I needed to lose. And just really just felt better about myself. And I just felt so much stronger in my will, in my mentality, and in the things that I was going for. I feel like things like that, I wouldn't say they can make you or break you, but they can mold you into a better you. And programs like that, I wish there were more around with the level of individuals that were in the program that I was in, and the level of not necessarily maturity, but the level of class and the level of humility that the people that taught that program had. Like, I don't think there should be a thing where it's like, okay, well, you're here, you're in my program, you have to kiss my butt the entire time. It should be a program where it's like, you know what, we're all here to learn, we're here to grow, we're here to grind out, we're going to work our butts off, and at the end of this, I'm going to be 10 times better than I would have ever been if I wasn't here, you know what I mean? And I feel like there is room for that, which is great. So, but definitely thank you to all the people that were part of that, all the people that I met, all the relationships that I gained out of that. Much love to you guys, and it was a blessing for me. And also, it was a blessing because I feel like I found a new hunger for pursuing what I truly want. You know what I mean? And often people get pigeonholed into the concept of a quote unquote real job, and quote unquote, this is safe, when honestly it's not. I mean, there are tons of people that are still out of jobs now because of how COVID went. Jobs that they couldn't stand, so you are in a job that you hate, that you can't even go to because you got released because you were expendable. Like corporate companies treat 90% of their employees like they're expendable. So why am I going to waste all my time and effort on someone else's company, someone else's time, someone else's dime, when I can invest in me and invest in the things I truly want? And then obviously, like if you're acting or whatever, you're working for a organization, but you're essential. You know what I mean? You're not as expendable as a worker at a freaking technology company. Obviously, if you act like an ass or if you act out and you do stupid stuff, you're gonna get kicked out. That's just life in general. But you get what I'm saying. You're not a number. You know what I mean? You're an element as opposed to just a number. You're an element, an essential element of this production. Whereas in an office space, you're just a number and you're just a seat filler. Like, you're basically just a robot that can just fulfill a task, get it done, and then that's it. And you do that task until you die. Once you die, they replace you with the next person, and vice versa. But that's just my opinion on that. I am all for people who want to be in that field doing it. Much love to you, much power to you. That just wasn't for me, and that's not for a lot of people. I know people that are now gym trainers that had IT degrees. I know there's people that with freaking doctoral